Manny.
All right, boys. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. I think it's pretty sweet that you guys are back in Canada and the Olympics are still going on, and you're here. You guys have not been here for a long time. Here is all in Whistler. I see that you guys are socially distancing and in each other's homes, but I just wanted to get you guys on here. I wanted to kind of hear about what was going on in at the Olympics, and what how you felt like going in, and then obviously we'll wrap it up. Crawford with a medal. That's pretty cool. And yeah, let's get it on. Hey, so let's start with you, Brodie. How are you feeling going into the games and like the World Cup and everything? Like, did you feel like 100%, or what was going on in your brain?
I definitely cannot say I was feeling 100% completely, and it was definitely a interesting journey, through the last World Cup races and that last little period where we were going through the quota reallocation process, and I knew I was the next spot, so we needed to get one more in order for me to make it, and it was looking promising, but I don't like to count my chickens before they hatch, so it was kind of on edge there for a little bit. And yeah, definitely, and just the way it sort of progressed, like my emotions and the different feelings of pressure from those last World Cup races to going through that, and then to getting to China finally, and it was almost like a bit of a relief at the beginning, and then as those races actually crept closer, that also sort of changed a little bit. It's I think impossible not to get to your Olympic race day, especially your first one, and not be like, holy crap, this is it now, and feel a little bit of pressure that way, like this is time to try and make a dream come true. So that was an interesting journey for me, and obviously we deal with pressure and stress all the time, but this definitely felt like something a little bit different to me. And I can't say I was feeling super stoked about the way things were going in the season and in those last World Cup races leading into this. I mean, I know I had a few good results that I was happy with, and obviously enough to get me to the games, but all in all, there was a lot of things where I felt like I just came up a little bit short. Hadn't scored a single downhill World Cup point in the whole season, and that wasn't for lack of good skiing. There's a lot of good things going on out there, but like every time I was actually putting together a really hot run, and something would happen somewhere along the way, so I kind of felt like banging my head against the wall a little bit, and just not feeling super happy with the way things were going. And then yeah, definitely a relief once I heard I was in for sure. And we got to China. We kind of had a debrief with our mental performance coach as a group when we all got there, and I think it'll be interesting to hear what these guys have to say about this as well, because I thought in that meeting it was funny to see some of the different opinions of like how we were feeling kind of coming in there. And we chatted about how a few of us were feeling like it was a little bit of a relief, and like it was almost like there's less pressure off the bat, because the just getting to the Olympics is a huge goal and dream in itself. So in a way, it's kind of like, okay, you're here now, you've made it, like it's time to well, for one, enjoy this experience. You're also obviously there to get a job done, but it's almost like it doesn't matter quite as much what happens. Like you made it there, and you're it's time to just shoot your shot. But then definitely as we kind of went on and it got closer to the race days, and especially with the way my initial downhill training runs went, and having a crash in the second one, and then not getting to do a third one, then rolling into the race day, I definitely was feeling some nerves start to creep in, and a little bit of pressure, just because it's your Olympic moment and you want to do well. So it was an internal pressure, and there's tons of support coming from Canada, and that was a really cool experience being part of the Olympic Team Canada. You know, like people for sure come out of the woodwork that you haven't heard from in a lot of years in your life, and they're sending
Wait,
you
are these
messages and
these were
whatnot.
your fake friends, or are they
Yeah,
your new
my
friends?
fake friends.
Your new fake friends.
But
Sweet.
I mean,
Those are always good to get.
it's still an amazing feeling to just have so much support
Fake friends as
coming
well.
from everywhere from home, you know, like that was definitely different than what you get week in, week out on the World Cup. So like really incredible feeling on that side, but of course there's still always a lot of internal pressure because you just want to achieve your goal. You want to make your Olympic dream happen, right? So I definitely was feeling that into the race days, and just felt like when it came down to it, you know, maybe had a little bit of a hard time just kind of letting go and like letting myself do it instead of trying to make it happen, you know. Like that's definitely what I tend to do. I want it to happen, so I try to kind of force it and make it happen instead of letting go. But then yeah, the way it all wrapped up with the combined day where I finally put a downhill run together, where I did that a lot better and let myself go, and I saw where I could be on that run, and to also be sitting in a medal position with Jack after that run, like was pretty cool. Not that I was expecting a medal going into that slalom run. I felt like I was in a very different position and mindset heading into the slalom run. But yeah, the fact that as a team it worked out that day, Jack came home with a medal, a historic medal, like that was a sick high note to end on.
Sweet. So
it was a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. That's what I feel like you're saying. I see Jack's already heard this ramble before. I could see him get up and play with the dog and stuff. He was like, okay, I've dealt with this. But what do you think? Like, do you guys think with your sports psych that, especially in the downhill being the first event and then the downhill, it did seem to me as an outsider, you can tell me wrong, but like that you guys were all kind of forcing it a little bit. And you know, if that was you know, part of just like the chaos of just making the Olympic team, and you know, the stresses of that, you know, that they do weigh on you, and then coming in and just being like, okay, well, this is my first chance, so like let's try and do it. But you know, there did seem to be a lot of pinched off turns in that downhill.
I think across the field though too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was aggressive snow, right? I mean, it seemed like it was pretty gnarly, and I'm sure that took a lot of time to get used to. And what about that that top right footer that you had to slide out by the net? It just seemed like that it wasn't a great camera angle. It seemed like a basketball. What's up?
Yeah, I definitely don't think
people
the
were
camera
just
angle,
stupid.
Yeah, what was going on?
Very well, for sure.
Jack being one of them.
I definitely tried it, but like the first
day just couldn't carve it, right, Jack?
Yeah,
that's what he came down to in the end. You can't carve it.
You couldn't carve it.
No.
I tried. I spent the last 2 days trying. It did not work.
Much kill day, he comes in power slide. Then carves the bottom. Jack came to the conclusion after nailing one and then missing one and then nailing one, right?
Yeah.
Was that kind of a flip of the coin
if
you were going to do it right or not?
Well, in Kitzbühel, I did the same thing. They changed the gate in right after the Hausberg. So the first 2 training runs that we had on it, I was just skiing like an idiot. I was trying to see what I could get away with. Mm-hmm. And I ended up missing that gate both days. And then on race day, I just watched video and did it right.
It's like you use the training runs, right? I mean, you got to see what you get away with. I don't know, man. I like skiing the whole Brodie Miller era, right? Like literally we would all ski like a line, and then Brodie would just show us that this other thing was possible every time. And we're like, oh, maybe we'll ski that. And I always thought that sometimes I thought maybe he was tricking us, because lots of times he would go back and then ski our lines. And then we'd be all on race line, like cutting it off and then being super slow because none of us could get away with it. And he was like, oh yeah, training runs, I thought I could get away with it.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Day, I actually liked your line a lot better.
But No, it was there. Really, that was the only tricky spot on the course. The rest of it was just, it felt a lot like Lake Louise in the sense that you had to just link every single section together and carry your speed. If you weren't carrying your speed from section to section, it just wasn't fast. It was like, but a little more in your face than Lake Louise.
Yeah, it seemed like that. It seemed like it was always coming at you, always pushing.
Yeah.
Just like maybe like more blind gates or just.
I think it was
just the way
more
it
like
was.
mentality of the athlete. Like you kind of had to push to be fast. So guys were just going pretty direct, and the snow pushed you into a little more aggressive position. And yeah, I think the blind turns definitely took some guys by surprise. And yeah,
that aggressive surface
The
made
combination.
the course like didn't necessarily feel super hard in a lot of those sections because the snow was so responsive, but it also made it that you could like you had to push super hard. And I think that's why everybody looked like they were hammering and maybe pinching off some of those turns because it was so responsive. But it was just that kind of environment where you the conditions allowed for you to really get after it, and obviously you have to anyway because it's an Olympic downhill.
Yeah, totally.
I thought it was a lot like Pyeongchang. Manny, you understand that a bit. The snow being a little more aggressive, and then no one knowing where they were going, basically. You see it on first training run. A lot of guys miss gates, and even the second training run. But who knows what that is? It's more guys testing out the limit and less than going around, I think.
Yeah, they kept bringing it on TV. Obviously, I get it when you're younger and you get to go to these new venues. All these other guys that have had mileage on the course, they don't have that. But maybe it's actually that you guys are just used to not knowing where you're going, so you're comfortable with it.
That's
right?
what I
It's
think.
like, hey, like this is just a new battle, and I have no idea what's coming at me.
That's just
we
like
for sure
welcoming those
talked about
Austrians.
that, like how we're our crew does pretty well in Super G in general, and that's the whole game in Super G, right? You just get one inspection and you go, and you don't really know where you're going, but you send it. And we definitely talked about that coming in, how that could be a good advantage for our crew. But I mean, obviously the downhill, even though it's all brand new, it's still a bit of a different game because you do ski it a couple times and you're inevitably going to like break it down a lot in between those training days and analyze it a lot and stuff. So yeah, definitely still a different ball of wax when it comes to race day.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was this the shit show that was going on with the qualifications before? Like, Brodie, you were on the cusp here. I kind of understood that the Italians and the Austrians got an extra couple spots, but like I wasn't really following. We didn't really get the whole down low here in Canada, but it seemed like it was just a big shit show.
Well, it was the part with me like waiting for my spot. I wouldn't really say it was a shit show. That was just the way it works with after our qualification period closes, Alpine Canada puts out the release to us of what because we had hard criteria, and they basically give us a list of who made criteria, and that's the that's the nomination list. So there was six of us on that list and we were ranked in hard criteria order. So that's the final nomination. Like those, if we get all the spots in the world, those are the guys that are going. And we had 4 spots already. You can see that on the FIS website, how many spots each nation has. So we basically knew that the first 4 guys on that list were in no matter what. And I was the 5th one. So then the whole like Olympic, like the whole world goes through the spot reallocation process to see if like other countries are going to deny their spot, not use it, and then they get redistributed. And nations like ours are there's a ranking, there's a list of who gets the next available spot as they come up. So we could see where we were on that list, and like it was looking pretty good, pretty promising that we would get that next spot, and that would go to me. And then Jeff was right behind me, so like we're all fingers crossed that we get 2 spots and that he can go as well. But like that seemed like a pretty straightforward, normal process to me. But the thing that was a shit show, I think, was afterwards when a lot of those big nations were complaining about the way the whole process works, because Austria, for example, one of the most dominant nations in our sport, didn't even get a full 11 spots or whatever the maximum is. And they're like, this is ridiculous. Like, we got some of the best athletes in the world and we can't even, and I don't know, that they obviously have some power, they can pull some strings, and they did something. I'm not gonna I don't really know what the heck happened there, but they caused a fuss, and then they somehow managed to get, I think, 4 more spots opened up. So they got
2.
They got
a total of 4, but they only got 2 of them.
Yeah, they got 2. And what was it? Italy or no, Germany got
Italy and
Italy.
Yeah.
Germany. I don't know, actually. I can't say for sure.
But I don't really know what happened there with them causing a fuss. Like, obviously they somehow pulled some strings behind the scenes, and that's all I know. That's the way it shook down in the end.
Okay.
You go read the article.
Follow it pretty closely online.
Yeah, it seems like, those guys, the people that they're going to bring are probably not medal hopefuls anyways, but it's the Olympics, anything can happen. I mean, a gust of wind here, a gust of wind there, and
especially in the end.
Well, the more ponies you put in the race, the better your odds, right?
Yeah. Well, if your ponies aren't very good, though, I mean, they're good. They're good enough to make the games. I get that.
Yeah, but the guys that made it off of Austria, Max Franz was the 5th guy in downhill, and I think he qualified for a spot. So that's one more guy that's going to take points, take a spot. Who else?
Yeah, like ultimately they're all dudes that have had like World Cup podiums and stuff.
I think the guy that was in second after the GS first run was this other alternate, maybe Brenstein.
Yeah,
Brensteiner.
So they're contenders, right?
Gotcha. How glad were you guys that they didn't try and run any of the speed events in a powdery mess of a storm?
We brought the weather back to this.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, that was so whack to go from what we went through. Like, the whole time we were there, it was bluebird, and it was cold, and some days it was super windy, but like barely a cloud in the sky the whole time. And then come home, and the first race that I watch on my couch, it's like a different world over there. Like, this is ridiculous.
And only for one day.
We were told for the last 10 years in February, the average snowfall for February was 0 centimeters over the last 10 years. And then it goes and snows. It snowed 2 centimeter day while we were there, second training, I think, and then it snowed like a foot when we.
Yeah, the fact that people were like losing it about that day that it snowed, a dusting, and then this happened. This is ridiculous.
Also, it's probably good for their whole Olympic scene, showing that it actually snows there, and they don't have to take so much flack for having no natural snow.
Yeah, maybe China pulled some strings with the other people.
Well, it looked like it all blew away. Like, I was watching the race the other day, and like off the race course again, it's not white again, and so it must have just blown away at some point.
They had their satellite snow guns going.
And I was watching Tina's follow cam the other day, and right in that carousel turn where Trev went on his hip and stuff, that gondola hut there. Is that a mid station there? That was a mid station. That looked like insane. It's like like a full layer.
It was like a James Bond movie, basically, coming in.
Yeah, kind of.
But
that was also
was really cool, and the where the downhill finish was also like very extravagant. You had to ski under the whole structure to like ski down to the wax rooms and stuff. It was like, if you saw in person what they did to build that mountain, it is pretty crazy. The amount of concrete, amount of metal.
Even when you just see the runs, like, you're going up the chair, and because most of the runs are along the top of the ridges, and you just see outside the A-net there along the sides how they've had to build retaining walls basically all along the sides of the ridges to make the runs wide enough. Like, even just little things like that, it has nothing to do with all the structures and stuff, but that alone had to be a huge project. Like, I can't imagine how much.
Really cool.
Yeah. So there's no way they could have run this event there before A-nets.
Yeah.
No. Well,
You're not worried
Before
about the hay
ANETs.
bales at all. You're just worried about the cliff on the other side.
Before ANETs, they would have just sent anyone down it anyways. And if you fell off the cliff, you'd just be tumbling down the bushes and dirt.
Be another idiot.
So dead.
Why'd you go off there?
All right, so I figured. I mean, the downhill was super disappointing. I mean, what's it like, Jack? You're fourth. Like, I've been at the games with Eric being fourth, and you know, I know it crushed him, and he was fifth. And I mean, you brought it together. You held it together. But I mean, that couldn't have been a very good feeling at all.
No. It was,
It runs
the
in the
time-
family though, Manny. Jack's aunt was fourth at the Olympics.
I read that. I read
Yeah.
that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay. Well, I'm glad you broke the.
Broke the
I'm
curse.
glad you broke the trend there, buddy.
Yeah, Jack,
was-
I think you said you had some line like right, but I think it was the day before the race or 2 days before the race. Nobody
Yeah.
remembers who's fourth, and then you gave that example.
nobody remembers fourth
He was
place.
saying
That's my
in an
You
interview,
story.
literally
like-
come fourth the next day.
There's definitely a lot more fake friends if you're on the podium for sure, dude.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
can tell you that. That's
Jack
true.
and I were like laying in our room, and he was doing an interview. I think it was after the second downhill training or downhill training one. And he was saying, yeah, nobody remembers fourth place. And then we get to the downhill race, sure enough.
Fourth place.
But yeah, you definitely brought it back to the combined. So it was good to see you.
Yeah, but you had to
Defy
wait a
all the
while. I mean,
odds.
downhill, Super G. I thought you guys like rocked it in the Super Gs. You know, the result wise wasn't where you guys were looking for, but the skiing, like I had never seen you guys ski like that before. I thought that was pretty cool. All three of you. I thought that you guys have like made a jump in your Super G skiing, like
Oh, yeah,
what a
me,
big.
and, me and Brod,
right.
those first 5 turns, they were good, I tell you.
Well, I think Brod forgot that there needed to be an arc around the gate. I was,
Well, in the downhill,
you know,
I
that
kinda ran
it's
it
not
like
a straight line to each gate. You know, you need to like use the side cut.
Yeah.
That's
We
what
may
they
not
say.
have even gotten a first split to see how the time was going, but I tell you,
No, it was
felt
fast. You were winning the race, Brodie. Don't even worry
Yeah,
about
for sure, man.
You had made that, Kate. What about you, Manny? Watching Johan Clary, you gonna make a comeback?
No, there's absolutely no comeback here, man. Oh, actually, I need to show you. I finished this yesterday.
You're still young on
Yeah.
the Johan Clary front, man.
I got my own medal yesterday in Fernie. That's why I was staying with Tai Tai.
Look at that.
Oh,
Oh yes,
Are you
I'm
a ski
certified to tell you
instructor
how
now?
to ski now. Yeah,
Whoa.
instructor or
big
coach?
deal. It doesn't come with a lanyard or anything.
Yeah.
I probably won't take it to schools to show kids that they too can become ski instructors. But
Do you wanna trade any of these for that thing?
I
Really?
kind of like the size of this. So if you have any big ones,
I got one with some dangly bits on it there. Come on.
nice. Look at that.
Look, I got a little panda.
Cool. Well,
Come on, let's make a trade.
that's awesome, buddy. I took Sloan, it was Olympic day at school. So that was really fun for me. I thought, you know, you always want your kids to feel special and stuff. So we went into the bins and I grabbed all like my Olympic crap and I was like, what do you want to take to school? So she took like a bib that she wore, and then she took my cred. And
Give all the Canadian stuff you could.
she had it. Yeah, I think she took my Torino
Take them out.
accreditation though. She thought it was interesting that I had hair, you know. She never really, yeah. So that was a long time ago, that one. And she was there, and then she got back from school, and she said it was really cool because she got to go all the classrooms because she had all this stuff. And she, Dad, none of the other kids have dads with Olympic stuff. Did you know that? And I was like, yes, I did. She was like, it's so funny that they wouldn't bring that stuff. Like, you know, like she just didn't get it at all. So I thought that was, I
Just
like
not
that.
everyone's dad is
young
an
enough and-
Olympian. That's just like an average Joe thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, and she was so pumped on the downhill. When we watched it, she said that she would invite you, Broderick, to her birthday again next year. She was like, "Oh, that's Broderick?
As long as
He
it's
for
not
sure
a,
can come to my birthday again next year.
a
That's he's
unicorn.
invited.
Was it a unicorn party this year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year it can be a downhill party.
We should, maybe we should.
Go
Yeah.
ski.
Maybe an
Manny,
Olympic theme or
she was
something.
probably thinking like, if my dad can go to the Olympics, all the dads must be able to. Like anybody can do it if he could do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not that special. I feel like it's more special if you hadn't gone, but it's been really cute to watch her. And you know what? I've really enjoyed watching the Olympics at home. So there's no Yo Clary comeback, but it kind of feels good because I wanted to make these games, and then I got injured, and this would have, there was always like the what could have been and all that stuff, and now it's like behind me, like it's all good. So I actually felt a little relief after the Super G. I actually was like, oh good, like that's where I would have ended, and now that's kind of over. So I've been happy about that, but but to be honest, I thought it's been cool, and I think I don't know, it seemed like it was a fun track to ski. I think that was kind of seemed like the coolest part about it is it was kind of like a Valgardena a little bit, where you got down and you thought, wow, that was like no matter what the time, like
Less airtime though.
Yeah, it was
less
fun.
airtime. Yeah. Well, it's always like that. You got to get the exotic stand at the end of the race. You can't put a 50-meter gap.
That was some of the most exciting skiing, honestly. I thought I watched was some of the exotics.
Yeah.
Working their way down, and they look like they're.
Who's the most impressive? Who's the most impressive out of the bunch?
Oh, Barnabas.
Who?
Adur.
Oh yeah.
What about Barnabas, man?
Adur,
I guess Barnabas in the combined, but
Barnabas,
Adur, I honestly.
yeah, but Barnabas is quite a good slalom skier.
Yeah, he's quite good, but like it was just cool to see him come out of the gate first in the downhill and then actually have a solid slalom run and get Israel's what was it? Their best finish ever. He was sixth in the combined.
Sixth or seventh.
Yeah, that but he shimmied down that slalom pretty fast. Like,
I mean, he's not. I hear that he lives in Europe and like he actually is a pretty legit racer, obviously. But still, he was racing for Israel and pulled off a historic result for them. So it was kind of cool still.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I was just going through the training runs watching Adur. I thought the guy was gonna freaking podium.
Yeah, but
Really?
he's trained with us in Sauce Bay and Zermatt, and he's like good on slopes like that, and I think it matched up a little bit, and but he didn't.
No.
Yeah, but
I think
but here we are talking about him, and he didn't. Get
I
on
was.
the podium.
I also
See, Jack,
was good in the
people
training
remember.
runs and didn't finish,
People
so.
remember.
Yeah, I think for Adur, it was almost just less of a surprise because we've trained with him a bunch and like I know he can be fast. He's had a lot of fast training days and like like Brod said, that
Still fun to watch.
Seemed to click pretty well with him. But it was more Barnabas. I was like, where'd this come from?
He had his Olympic outer body experience.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys like that just could never do well on World Cups or whatever, but you chucked like a 1:30 combined downhill and they would win it.
Like Wybrecht would always turn it on for the Olympics too. Right?
Yeah, Wybrecht was an Olympic horse for sure. I mean, I think from one Olympics to the next, he went without a top 10 for the whole quadrennial cycle, and then he went back and got a medal at the in the Super G in
Sochi?
In Sochi, yeah.
Yeah, he beat Jan and
Yeah.
Brodie.
I mean, he had some injuries, he had some stuff, but he was always a good racer. He just couldn't put it together. He had bad start numbers or whatever, and then he got a good start number for the Olympics again, and then crushed it.
Yeah, I actually remember that. That was the year I did my first World Cup. He podiumed in Kitzbühel in the Super G and then went to the Olympics and got a medal.
Yeah.
And that was it.
He knew how to race. We were racing in Beaver Creek. It was the NORAMs. No, but yeah, it was the NORAMs. So like we were young, and he ran the NORAMs, and he came off Harrier jump, and just shot straight off. And at that time, they didn't V-net the whole bottom area going into the finish, and he was like the last forerunner. Nobody was really watching, and he landed on his head, and he was out cold, and he slid through all the bumps where the slippers were, and he stayed there, and they ran the race. They were like running the race. They were like
kidding
on the 10th guy, and everybody was like, whoa, he doesn't seem to be getting up. Like, we got to go get him. And
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it was like the most
And
insane
20
thing.
minutes later, oh, he hasn't moved.
Yeah, we got to go get him. Like, yeah, old school
Jeez.
Noriams, you know.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, he knew how to chuck himself down the hill. But that's good, past tense, you know. That's where I'm at. That's good. I love it. So
I think that
all right,
goes
so
up-
the Super G happened. What's like, you guys are at the village, like what was the team like? What are you guys, you've just done the two like marquee events, and then now you've been close to a podium and all that stuff. You guys got to be kind of pissed off or upset or just proud of yourselves, or what?
Yeah, I think we were proud to like go for it. I came out 2 GNFs after that, and I was getting checked out. My body was getting checked out and stuff. So coming into the combined, I kind of felt less pressure. You know, alpine combine's always been the third event, and even like looking on past experiences of combined after maybe hitting that in Bormio or in Wengen, just coming to the combined and being able to go out and relax, I think is that anticipation is kind of nice. I think Jack probably definitely felt that, and Brodie too, with not having the idea really to send it hard in the slalom, just to have a good run. And Jack obviously probably felt a little more pressure knowing that the medal was really in grasp or tight with that. And yeah, anything can happen, I think too. So just doing what we do every day, I think, was important to bring into that.
Totally. And
I
that
kinda-
slalom seemed tight.
Yeah.
It was so tight, man. Pinteros
tempo.
said it, and it was like no fun at all.
Well, and the most ironic part too, and I think it's probably because they didn't flip the 30, which is the most ridiculous
haven't-
thing to change the rule for the last super.
No,
combined
it
ever.
wasn't there at World Champs last year too. It was the
Okay, so
same.
twice
It
they
was
read it,
Yeah.
but I think they felt more pressure because they were starting farther back, right? Those slalom skiers, and
Yeah.
every slalom skier went out.
Yeah. Well,
All the
they
guys
were
that
all,
were just
like,
a
they were
little
all at
slower.
such a deficit. You see exactly like how sometimes when you're a young racer too, how you think you have to push a lot harder than you actually have to push. Like, you know how I was when I was younger, Manny. But I
Or
think
even
that
in the
you can see
downhill.
that in a nutshell watching those slalom guys.
Yeah, I mean, they knew they had so much time to make up it, so they had to hammer, and it was such an up-tempo course. Like, no wonder it was a mess. And like then for somebody like me jumping into my first slalom run in a while, and the gates are just coming at. I mean, I was not moving fast, but it felt like they were coming at me fast. It's like, holy crap! I just didn't want to straddle because I was on my ass the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, it was more, I was doing that mainly for the downhill result, right? Like to keep those points, which you have to finish the slalom run to get that. So
Yeah.
actually just making it to the finish, I mean, I could have hiked or whatever, but like making it down was a huge part of it, not necessarily risking it all for a medal.
Yeah, Jack, like you on those disco sticks, like that was pretty good.
I still got it.
Yeah, like when did you last like really spend time on those skis?
Like really spent time.
Yeah.
A few, like at least over 2 years, but we spend like 2 days doing 4 runs
Yeah.
every year. So it's
there have been the parallels, obviously, in the media, everybody they talk to, everybody's fighting over if you're from Whistler or if you're from Ontario, or like who gets the rights to Jack Crawford these days. But you probably could lend the Ontario contingency for your slalom skills, because I think when you moved to Whistler when you were 15 or so.
Yeah, 16.
So you did a lot of slalom.
Oh yeah.
Before that, right? I mean, really, probably only slalom, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. The speed skiing came when I moved to Whistler.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just like I guess like 100-foot pommel lift that I used to just lap on slalom skis for hours.
So you could literally you're bringing the nation together. with
Oh,
your
yeah.
combined East and West skills, you know, like this is,
Exactly.
yeah, I think we should each Boney eyes, you know, the Western speed skills with the Eastern disco dancing.
Are the Eastern disco dancing skills retired now after potentially the last combine? Yeah.
That might have been it. That was it, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I won the first split in that combined. Maybe I'm making a push for slalom.
Yeah. Get your 500 points or whatever it takes to start tight in the slalom.
Yo, you guys see Trevor's tossing it in the slalom tonight?
I told him he said when we left, I'm like, you might as well. We got
He said no way.
Gotta wait till the combine or the team event, right? So he said, I was like, might as well.
When we
Otherwise,
left,
he's
he
just
was
sitting
like,
around.
no chance, I'm not doing it. And now he's on the start list. I love it.
Yeah, well, I must have done some good convincing. I
So-
think Nick probably also.
Thinking about slalom, Johnny is always talking about how when he had 500 points, he would throw it in slaloms, and he came like 31st and 32nd a couple times. So we should all get 500 points so that we can actually make the flip, and so he can stop talking about that.
It used to be, I don't know if Johnny remembers, but I actually think it was 400 points when Johnny was racing. So they made it
Dude,
harder.
I was
for
like
guys.
almost 4 seconds out in a combined slalom run, and the flip in the 30 these days in actual slalom has been like 1.4 seconds. It's been so crazy competitive.
Yeah.
You think I got any chance at
Those, I feel like the combine's cool though, because it goes to show how much those slalom guys, or how impressive they actually are. Like watching Strolls come down that thing after all of us, and even Schwartz, it's like their level of skiing is so much higher in that discipline. Like it's
Let's see
unbelievable.
this medal, Jack, where you got
That's
it.
what happens when you
I gotta go
train
find.
all the time,
Okay.
24/7.
Where is Jack? Oh, Jack's in Vancouver.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier though, actually, like it was funny coming from the downhill Super G race days, and then we had the one day in between before the combined, and it was supposed to be a downhill training run for the combi, but we didn't have to do it. So it was we decided all not to do it, but we all did different things, and I think it was kind of interesting. We were all sort of in a different place, a different mindset. To me, it seemed like, Brod's body was a little beat, and the first priority was to like get that checked out, get that sorted for the next day, and make sure he's all good to go in one piece. Jack was feeling pretty good overall, and like you said, coming off some of those super close results, probably still feeling hungry, and knew he had one more chance. So his first priority was to go do a few runs of slalom training. Even though we had just skied like 6 days in a row and it was intense, he didn't take a day off and just went back up there. And then me, on the other hand, I was definitely feeling a little bit down and just sad that those opportunities kind of like they're behind me now. And it didn't go as planned. And it's not that I wasn't like trying, but it's over now. And it was just kind of accepting that. And I felt like I was totally different. I was like, I'm taking the day fully off. I need to get a bit of a mental break and like do some fun stuff. I wanted to go to the luge track that night and watch our women compete. And I had never seen a track before, so we did the whole walk top to bottom, and it was super cool to watch. And then I went up the next morning and watched our girls race the slalom from the finish, and cheered them on with everybody else up there. So just kind of try to do some stuff like that to get out of my head a little bit and have some fun, loosen up a bit. And yeah, I mean, we all did something totally different, it seemed like, but it was what we needed to do to
He's cut off.
Hi, Brodie.
Oh
Cut
no.
off. Brody's cut off. Too much
Right.
Mike. Look at that. Let's see that medal, Jack. It seems to have disrupted
Froze
Brody's
for a second.
internet connection.
There it is.
Look at that. Hey, that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
So they gave it to you, and you got the heck out of there. You guys were on the plane, like
We got on
Yeah.
the
for the
fun.
race, eh?
It was actually, we did like,
Jack was probably thankful for it in the end, honestly.
Yeah.
Less media.
I'm not a huge media guy, and it was like I didn't realize what came with getting on the podium, and it was like you did it, you had to do all the media at the bottom of the hill, and then you had to drug test, and then there was a press conference straight into talking with other reporters, and it was a lot.
Tell us about your press conference experience.
I heard
The
you went
press
in there, guns
conference.
blazing, Jack. You were like, F you, F you, F you, you're okay, F you.
No,
I'm
it
just
was
here so I don't get fined.
my
Yeah, you gotta take some notes from Beast Mode.
yeah. I got in there before the other guys because I had to go pack up to leave and they weren't leaving. So luckily the press conference wasn't live, but I got in there and I was just done. Like I was mentally fried, like couldn't think, just was done. And this guy asked me a question and I was trying to answer it and I kept stumbling over my words and I just was not pronouncing stuff and I thought I was saying it in my head and I'm like, you're an idiot, fuck me. Just like straight into the mic.
Oh,
And
geez.
nobody,
word for word here.
Too bad.
Nobody
Like,
was watching.
That doesn't make like the highlights. That's like full on highlight reel stuff.
Yeah, but nobody was paying attention to me. And then all of a sudden I just hear laughing through the headset that I have on my head and everybody's staring at me. And I look up, I'm like, holy shit, I am like, and from then on, I like did the quickest answers I could and just got out of there and everybody was loving it. It was so embarrassing.
You're not the first person to stumble upon an email or an interview, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. But that's good. That's good. They probably needed some excitement.
Yeah, it was a lot, and I didn't realize when you get into those press conference rooms, there's like your seats, and I've always thought it was like people sitting down, like ready with mics, like yeah, press conference. But everybody has their own little booth, and they're on their computers typing away with headsets on, and no one's actually looking at you.
I think it's different for COVID, no?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's gotten a little bit different. It used to be a lot better. And
Okay. Yeah, this was
podium in the US, they have so many different media outlets. You podium in Canada, you got your Austrian media, your Swiss, and then you've got your Canadian conglomerate. So you got 3 guys in there, right? Like, and they can spread it all around, maybe a 5th media attaché, right? So I think it totally depends on the country, and then obviously the Olympics, there's way more press.
Yeah, but it was crazy. There were so many people in there and everybody was just like typing, just like working, and you saw the odd person and then everybody's looking at me all of a sudden. I was like, oof.
Was there anybody in there you knew asking questions, or everybody was new?
Everybody was, I didn't know a single person. There was probably 150 people.
Yeah.
Like it was, but everybody had their own booth. Everybody was in their own little cubicle, just tunnel visioned in their computer.
I had no idea it was that big. That's wild.
Yeah, it was a lot of people. And that was also probably it. I was over it. I was tired. And then I saw how many people there was. And I was just like, oh no, not this.
Well, you changed a lot of people's mind on Super Combined. I tell you, even Semmel said it right away on TV. He was like, normally I don't like this event, but this is going to be exciting, and lots of people don't like things when we don't get medals, right? Like if we were a good combined nation, we'd probably really like that event, right? And so here we are, you get a podium, and we've caught on to the trend as it's flurrying away.
It's hard though. Like alpine combined, I personally think it's an awesome event. Like I've always loved the event because it's like the best of both worlds. But when you see like the top speed skiers, like the actual top guys, like the Foyts, the Kriegmeyers, the Myers, those guys just like, they struggle to take it seriously because they just can't ski slalom anymore at a high level. And like, if they're running a full length downhill and a full length slalom, realistically, you should be able to put enough time in the downhill. And like, I thought this race was pretty good. Like Kilday and I both got a little bit unlucky with wind. Same with Brodie and Broderick, like there was definitely wind swirling, so it kind of made it hard. But this was the first time I've ever skied an alpine combined where they ran both events from the top.
Yeah,
Because in
that's a good point.
Kitzbühel, they always lower it. Same with Wengen, they lower it by like 45 seconds, but then they run a world-class slalom event. So it's like they're always talking about how it's unfair, and it's like, okay, if you're trying to make it safer for the slalom skiers by shortening the track, it's never going to work. You have to just.
It's a good
full
point,
length.
because as soon as you lower a downhill start, it's like it like just opens up the floodgates of all of a sudden who can do well in the race.
Yeah.
Like the hardest part about a downhill is the length.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get a different winner if as soon as you shorten it by 30 seconds.
So those like Wengen's a perfect example. Like if they ran the full length downhill, that would be an awesome alpine combined.
Yeah, but also there is so much course still. I think you got to think where it came from when they used to run the full length downhill and then 2 slalom runs. I think that's probably what that's why it is the way it is. They've always had that combined start, and then they just took 1 slalom run out. So
could you
But it used to be a
doing that
2-day
all in one
event.
day?
Yeah, it used to be a 2-day. So you used to just run the downhill
okay.
and then you'd run the slalom, and it was just your combined time.
yeah,
That
but
makes
you have
sense.
to do 2 runs of slalom, right?
Then they made it its own event, which was on top of it, and
That's
it's
actually-
been all over the place.
That's actually
Super G these days
phenomenal,
looks
though.
like a high-speed GS as well.
Yeah.
It used to be every second or third gate was a delay.
Yeah.
And it used to be a downhill. They used to like just run the downhill track, and then where it was a little straight and you would glide, they would put little wiggles in, and then it was like, and now that's what the downhills look like. Like everything's moving. I mean, obviously for safety, it's great, but the more you turn, the more you're angled towards the net as well.
Broderick.
Hey, Brod.
Broderick and I were talking about something that was pretty fun. It's like the pentathlon of skiing. So you go to the Olympics, you go to these events, and you pick 2 skiers who actually just ski all the events, and their combined times at the end of all 5 or 4
Not
events.
combined. I was saying that they
Or
should
like
do it like a
point.
World Cup point system. Like
Yeah.
you do race all the events, but then you just like you'd have to see Odermatt do slalom, and you'd have to see Voits do slalom. But I would say it would make, like, obviously you put a medal on the line just like in combined, but you'd see a lot more guys do all the events, and I think that would be fun to just keep that kind of inclusivity in skiing and make it so that you go for the Olympics and you have the whole experience, and you're not just in and out kind of like we are, and in and out like the slalom team, or in and out like the GS team. You kind of, because usually the speed courses, they're not like Kitzbühel. You're not risking your life down there and have to be like you saw Strolls and Schwartz just strap them on for this downhill of the year, and they were totally composed and not scared. And I think having that would be really cool, like kind of what they do in a lot of other track events. Or
That'd be something.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Instead of combined, like if they're going to take combined out, they should at least replace it with some sort of combined discipline, just to show who is the all-around skier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you're totally all around. I mean, speed guys, most guys ski 3 events. Slalom guys are kind of insulated now, so it's kind of nice to be able to see who can ski everything.
It definitely is
true overall.
It definitely is a little bit sad, because I do think the original combines back in the day, when more people did do all events, were so much more interesting, and it is such a cool event that way to see who could do them both. But now just the way the sport's evolved and how it's become so much more specialized, like when you can't even get a full 30 people to start the combined when there's an Olympic gold medal on the line, like that's kind of, I think that kind of speaks to just like how the athletes think of it nowadays. Like it's kind of sad that it's in that position.
Yeah,
But
I also think if we
replace it
did
with
what
something else.
Jack and my theory is, it would make each event a little bit more exciting, because like the guys in the end of the slalom, you'd be rooting for the downhillers still in the slalom event to maybe make 15th place or 14th place, even though they're not going to win. there'll be some excitement, and I think
It's just interesting.
all around
And then
it's cool.
you could also make it into like you have one woman, one man who does it, and that's
Yeah,
your
that would
like,
be fun. That would be fun to, and you'd have to pick your teammate before. It's
Yeah.
like, who's going to be teammates with who?
exactly.
Yeah, that would be sweet. So what about you, Brod? You hit the net. So has this now you've hit every net on the tour?
I only just grazed this net.
I feel like we
But I had
actually
to
we
make
should talk
time.
about
I
the
guess I
nets
had
that
to.
you haven't hit. What nets have you not hit on the whole tour, the whole year? Because now with the Olympics, you grazed it. Yeah.
I don't think I've hit a net in Bengen, honestly.
There's one race out there.
And I honestly, maybe I said I might have hit one in Bormio earlier in this call, in this chat, but I don't think I have, because I've only raced there twice. Santa Catarina, what it replaced in the past was
You went in
definitely
there.
hitting a couple nets there, but not Bormio, Bengen, Kvitfell. I just knocked myself out. I don't think I actually hit anything.
Just a
Who
casual
knows?
But
chill.
yeah, it happens when you're going for it. And I was a little bit my old self in that downhill. I was good in the training, and then maybe wanted it a little too much, went a little direct in that turn, and that's how it went. But
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Live and learn, my man. Yeah, that's all we're doing. You guys, yeah, man, your skiing looks good. For sure, you guys learned a lot. I have no doubt that, I mean, even just the relief on your face, Brodie, when you were down in the finish, and I think Jack to be so close and then to actually get a medal is pretty rad. Broderick got another net to hit, so put another notch on his belt there. You all came out with something. But what for kids and such that are ski racing and want to achieve their personal best at races and stuff, what do you think from going from a really big event like this? What do you think the one thing that you would like take away each? Like maybe we'll go like Brodie, Brod, Jack. Like what were you like, whoa, I didn't know this before, but I'm like super pumped to take this into my skiing?
Oh, well, I can't say it's something that I didn't know before, but something that has been definitely a lot harder to put into practice than it sounds. But just trust yourself, especially in a big moment like that, when it comes time to just shoot your shot and go for it. Like you have to learn how to trust yourself and let things happen.
Man, I'm going to take that into my beer league hockey game tonight.
Okay.
I feel like that's actually that's been my biggest roadblock, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the hockey.
But we have, I think what Brodie is saying also is that trusting yourself, you need to put in some practice beforehand.
Oh shit!
Yeah, we're gonna get
you
into
can't just trust
the whole
the beer drinking before the game and then go into
Yeah, I've always felt like I have the most trust in myself, like
after the
in
most
hockey,
beers?
I should say in hockey after like 2 Bud Lights.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's confidence.
It's sport beers,
You're the king of confidence.
All right, so yeah, and I think Brodie, I mean, you touch on it, like trust in yourself is funny. It's like confidence, right? Like you almost have a false sense of confidence first that you gain through training and stuff like that to kind of believe, and then you got to somehow just believe in yourself before. It's like,
dude,
it's pre-belief, which is so hard, right? It's easy to believe in yourself after.
Yeah, and confidence comes from, it's such a tricky thing, and I think everybody gets it from a different place. Some people do seem like they're just able to kind of pull it from wherever, even if they don't have, they could have never had a solid result before, and they just believe in themselves still. And other people kind of need to see it to believe it. But yeah, and exactly to Brod's point there, that it's kind of like the saying, trust the process. I mean, you can't just tell people that, because your process has to be good in the first place, right? You can't trust the process if the process is shit. So same with trusting yourself. You have to put in the work first, and like we all have, and we could see throughout the World Cup season a lot of really bright spots that tell us that we know we have the speed when we put it together. And that's what I mean. Like you obviously have to have that behind you, and then on the day when it's time to go, then you trust yourself that you know how to do it. You don't have to do anything crazy. You know that your body knows what to do.
Cool. What about you, Brad? I know you added to that, but you got something, I'm sure.
I want to touch on what you were talking about a second ago, but this isn't my my thing that I learned and want to give to the next generation. But being on the team with you, Manny, and then being on the team with Jack, it was like Jack replaced you in a sense that
Come here,
you
Jack.
could fabricate confidence.
Thanks, big guy.
You could fabricate the confidence. You could be 3-4 seconds out in a training run in a race, and then know that you're going to win the race, or know that you're going to do well. And I think Jack could mess up a turn 4 days in a row, but still know and have the confidence and make that confidence in yourself that you are going to win that section or be fast in that way. And I think it's really challenging as an athlete to know, like for me, I have to have that experience-based confidence or like have done well in the training or know to the bone that I'm going to do well. But you and Jack are a little bit of a different breed, I would say, in that sense, and that you have that something a little bit different. And I think you see it through generations of athletes, and I think that's really cool. And to see Jack kind of imply that in his skiing now is also really cool. And it's nice to be on the team with both of you guys. And I think Brodie can feel from the same way, like where I'm coming from. You see it. I saw it through Manny, and I think you can see it through Jack a lot. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
pretty cool.
Right on. Well, that's
And
cool.
my thing that I'm taking away for the next generation is that, we came back, all three of us, and went up the ski hill to see like the ski club kids, and they were having a U12 race, and just to see that we were there like 15 years ago. And it doesn't feel like that long ago, we put in so much work in the last 15 years to be where we are now, but it was all fun. And I think just always going out and trying to improve to be a little bit better every day, from when I was 11 years old, from when I was 10 years old to now, it has put me in a position just always wanting to be the best and wanting to be faster and wanting to beat my friends, be faster than the next guy. I think just showing like where I wanted to be at 12 years old, and knowing that I would want to go to the Olympics, want to be a World Cup skier, want to be a Canadian cowboy, want to be a crazy Canuck. I think just trusting that if you do everything in one day that you're going to do for the rest of your life, I think is important. And just seeing Manny and Mike and Robbie at a young age, and then us going back yesterday was really cool. And I think really beneficial for those guys, because I remember from that age how cool it was to see you guys come home with hardware and World Cup podiums. And I think we're just jump starting the next generation. I know the kids, I've known them since they were 5 years old, and they're 12, 13, 14, 15 now. And I know that they're going to be in our shoes in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are taking on the challenge too, right? Because then you're the people that they're going to look up to. And I feel like that's kind of when you change from being a young team to a team that is offering, credibility on the World Cup, but also just inspiration to all the kids, like that's what, I think without inspiration from the previous generation, it's really hard to like see that there's an end point to this other than you're hanging out with your friends every day. And just, if you're competitive or if you just like to ski or whatever gets you up in the morning, right?
Yeah, I think like with you guys, like the Canadian Cowboys generation, you had like strong guys from Quebec and then Alberta, Manny, you were just having fun, like always wanted to be fast. But that separation between the crazy Canucks and the Canadian Cowboys must have been like hard.
Yeah, it was like almost 2.5 decades, right? Like it's too much.
Yeah. So I think if we can, like, it's hard when every few years some team gets cut and it takes away from that stepping stone for the next generation or like future Alpine Canada teams. But if we keep continuing to build and remember that, like especially the CEO and the coaches, that ski racing, you see Johan Clary at 41, it's not a sport that you get superstars that can do it right away. Odermatt, Kilday, but a lot of the time it takes a bit of experience, like a lot of experience, and it's built up over years.
Yeah, absolutely.
From a young age.
Little every day, right? Like what you were saying,
Yeah.
every day. And what about you, Jack? You got a medal around your neck. You date Broderick Thompson's sister.
Yeah.
Man, like you got it made. You got it made, man. Like what else is there, man? So what have you learned?
This is kind of through the season, but it's similar to Brodie's. It's something that I've been trying to work on, is just always getting to the same headspace before I push out of the gate. And for me, it's like just realizing that it doesn't matter how nervous you are. It doesn't matter what's on the line. Doesn't matter how your warm-up felt, what your skis feel like. At the end of the day, if you push it out and you can be in the same place every single time, it'll be a relatively good day. If you're always shooting to win the race, coming 10th because you had a big mistake instead of coming 30th because like it's all perspective. And so this year, like I definitely have, I'm not a perfect skier. I make mistakes, but if I'm always putting myself in a position to win and I'm always putting myself in that mindset, pushing out of the gate, it's probably going to be a good day. And
hey, Jack, Pepper wants to go out.
Yeah, I know.
We'll wrap up here soon, buddy.
I'm not ready to have a dog.
Is that at school?
I feel like you're on the road quite a bit too. Like they don't really, dogs don't like that. Dog owners and the SPCA also don't like that. Right?
Too much. You should see it. She just eats everything like all day.
Oh, I know.
Keep your medal locked up, man. That lanyard will be gone, and your Olympic gear, your opening ceremonies jacket.
If you wear yours as much as Jan, you're gonna need to replace the lanyard anyway.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of wearing them. Ever since I was young, it was you stand on the podium, you take it off, it goes in your pocket. I've never. I don't know why.
It's kind of heavy. It's probably a heavy
I feel like that too. I mean, I never had one, but I feel like I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
I think it's maybe it's a deep down
medal.
Yeah.
Deep down problem I have, and just I don't feel like I'm worthy.
Yeah, yeah, that'll sink in. You totally are. That's the beauty of sports. It's just everyday common people that tried really hard at something, making a go out of it, right?
You know what? I was actually going to say this. This is what I would probably give back is when I was in pit stall for the first time I skied with you. I think I went 0 for 8 on that breakover. Like I didn't finish a single run, and you gave us a piece of advice, and you said if you want to be a World Cup champion, you got to learn how to slide the fastest. Don't be an idiot. And that now that I'm at a level where I'm competing with those top guys, that is so real.
Yeah, totally right.
If you want to win races, you have to become the fastest slider, not the fastest carver.
Yeah, everybody can learn to carve fast.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I feel like each one of us has brought up that story at some point along the way, like whether it was at your retirement get together thing, like that. Oh, that's clearly something that stood out to all of us.
That's great.
Like you got to try to carve, but
yeah, you should try to. But if you can't,
you gotta learn to carve. You gotta learn
totally.
to carve to be a good skier at a young level, right?
yeah. Like
What I always loved about skiing is, you know, you're given the opportunity to create some, you know, greatness or, you know, to better your life, and you're given it every race. But if you don't do well, you're just the same old person that had the same old things before, right? And so I feel like it's always a win-win value. You know, you get to go down and you get to prove yourself every chance you're given. And but if that wasn't your day to do it, then you know you're just as better off as you were 3 minutes earlier, you know.
I
Yeah.
think that's a great way to look at it, because so often it feels more like if you went out and you had a bad day, that you're somehow, you know, less or not the same person. You're like a notch down, when that's not true. You're just right where you were before, and you still have all the tools, and you still have everything that you put into it to begin with. So that's a good way to
would
look at it.
argue that when you do well, then you get a bit of an ego, and then you're actually just more of a dick.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
you know, maybe, you know, like, what do you want? What are you trying to get out of this, right?
Yeah.
I'm such a loser. I don't think I'd get away with being a dick.
It's not a fun place to be. I think that's why everybody loves the Canadians on the tour. Is, you know, we've had a long lineage of people that have even before my career, that treated all the hotel owners well, and the bar owners, because, you know, you got to grease those wheels, and the ROC. And I think it's those, you know, that goes a long way, and that's why people like us, you know, abroad, and cheer for us and all that stuff.
And that's kind of one of the things we talked about this last off season, when we were, you know, chatting about our team culture and like the things that we value. And one of them was, you know, obviously with all this, we talked about how we want success at the highest level, and like we want to show that we can be the best, but how do we want to do that? And everybody was on the same page that we want to do it in the Canadian way, so to speak, like be humble and show that we're competitive threats and that we can be champions, but still be good guys at the end of the day, and be role models, and not dickheads, like you said. So
yeah,
I love
that's
it.
something we strive for sure.
I love it.
So
Well, let's wrap this. Oh, Jack, you got one more thing to add?
No.
Let's wrap it up. Guys, I'm super appreciative of you guys jumping on this call. I think it'd be really insightful and fun for kids of all ages to check this out, especially while the games are still going on. And
You might need a couple of bleeps if you're gonna advertise it for all ages.
It's definitely a PG-14 and up. I think. You know,
Okay, there we go.
if you happen to be younger and you watch it, I mean, so be it. But you know, I think you guys are an inspiration for the next generation. I think it's really cool that you guys have turned in from young boys that I knew you to, like, you know, huge grown World Cup, Olympic medal winning men, right? And I think you guys are holding your own. I think it's really cool to see. And I mean, I when I was watching, I was just super proud of where you guys have been. And you know, not everybody gets to achieve their goals on the one day. And you know, if you're lucky and you get to go to 2 or 3 Olympics, you know, might get nine tries out of it. And you know, the odds are stacked against you, but they've always been stacked against you. They're stacked against you from the first day you pushed out of the gate, right? So it's always just persevering and trying your best. And look, you're already on the World Cup, and you're already some of the best in the world, and that's like you're defying the odds as we speak. So I think that it's pretty rad. And yeah, I can't wait to keep watching.
Thanks.
Next Olympics is in Bormio, man.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well,
Here we go.
Here we go. That's right. Onwards to the next, hey?
Yeah. Thanks, Manny. It was awesome.
Yeah, sweet boys. Okay, take care. Have a good time at home here, and we'll see you back on the World Cup tour.
Thanks a lot, Manny. See ya.